Hello everyone, my name is Javier, member of the UDS technical team, and in this video we're going to see how to configure a multi-factor authentication so our users can have MFA natively with UDS. In this case we're going to use the SMS via HTTP. So we can use a lot of solutions to work with this option, and in our case we're going to use 360 NRS. It's a really good application, and we're going to use their API as they have really good documentation on their API. In the web page you can find almost anything that you're going to need. So in other solutions I can tell you that it will be very close to what you're going to see in this video. So let's start editing the SMS. We have it right here already created. Let's see the important parts. So in this case, let's start with the name. The scripted name will help us a lot. In my case, simple one, SMS. Now let's tell them the device catching. This will be the time that this code will be valid and a user won't be asked for it again. Let's say that a user accesses in a given time for 1 hour. He won't be asked for the MFA again. Okay, so in our case right now, let's change it and let's put it to 0. So every time that the user logs out and wants to enter, he will be asked for the MFA and he will need the SMS code. Next step will be the MFA code validity. Okay, so this will be in the moment that the code is generated and sent to the user, the time in minutes, so that that user can enter that in the code validity. Okay, so let's say that we put 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the user will have that time to enter it. Now let's go to HTTP server. First part will be the URL pattern for our SMS. Okay, in our case will be the one with 360 NRS, the API one. The method that we're going to use for the send of the SMS, in our case post, and the parameters that we are going to use. So what we can work with 360 NRS, we are going to use the next ones, these three. Okay, the 2 for the phone. Okay, now we're going to send the SMS from the text message. There will be the message that the username was going to see. Okay, in this case, as you can see, the text is hi, the username, and this is your access code. And remember that the code is always necessary. We are going to need a code, so we can access the telephone as parameter, the username as parameter, and username. Okay, you can also access the username without the domain. That's also an option. Of course, we are going to need always a phone. Okay, well, we're going to need it, and a code. This is the minimum requirements that everyone's going to need. Okay, then we're going to have the header for our SMS. Okay, and the SMS encoding. In this case, we can leave it by default with UTF-8. It's going to work fine. And then for the HTTP authentication, we'll give it the type of authentication that we're going to use. As you can see, it's going to use a basic HTTP, the user token, and its password. Okay, the HTTP response part. If the API needs to respond by any means, here you can put it here, but for now, well, the 360 NRS doesn't have one, so we can leave it by default. Okay, it will be considered a code 200. That's totally fine. The configuration part, we have an important part as what's going to happen with a user that has an error when authenticating. Okay, with the SMS. If for some reason it can't go through, we can allow that user, we can deny, of course, that user, or we can allow and deny depending on the network that that user is inside at the moment. Of course, the next part will be telling the networks that we want the MFA, and of course the last configuration will be users that don't have an MFA configured. What's going to happen to them will be the same as before. We can let them access, we can let them stay outside, or we can allow and deny depending on the network that the client is in at the moment. So we have plenty of options so that everyone has an action. When this is done, we can click on save, and now let's configure our authenticator. In this case, we have an internal database. As you can see, we're the only requirement when we are going to create a user So you can see here, edit, and the MFA will tell them the number. Okay, as you can see right here. It's important that depending on the solution that we're using, you may need the prefix of that number or not. It depends on the solution. In our case, it is necessary, so we need to put the prefix of the currency that we're in. This is an important part, so check with the documentation because it will be necessary. So we can save this and let's try accessing with the user to see what happens. Let's choose SMS and its password. As you can see, you will go to a login verification page and you have a code through our mobile phone. As you can see in our mobile phone, we have a new message, a new SMS, where we can see our username, as you can see, and the code that we're going to need. Very important that these are the two requirements that we're going to need, the username and the code. So once we have the code, let's put it inside our verification web, and there it is. We are inside. We are with an administrator user. So I hope this can help everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.